So I have pushed the live button. So we are live now. We welcome you to A Light into the Gentiles. Bonnie is here. She's gotten up pretty early in Australia to bring you a table that she's put together called Fiery Stones. Okay, Bonnie.
Hello, hello. Oh, okay. So this is a redo of an older work that I did back in 2021. But it was just such a fascinating topic, and it's just always just something that fires the imagination and makes us look deeper into our faith walk. Find out how to turn my camera off so we can have a look at the slides. Okay, can you see my screen of fire?
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you.
nice and clear.
Okay, so we're talking about a particular verse here from Ezekiel 28, and as I just explained, we'll have a look at this, which is what the table is based on, and then we'll have a wider discussion on the whole collection of stones at the very end. So we have from Ezekiel 28, verse 14, you were the anointed cherub that covered, and I placed you. You were on the set apart mountain of Elohim. You walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. So that was just, to me, in looking at the issue of Aharon's breastplate, I came across this idea of Hasatan has his own breastplate. That was a very interesting idea. So here's where the verse is in Ezekiel 28. And I chose to look at particularly verses 13 to 19 here. It is in the past tense. You were the anointed cherub, which means that, as we know, he fell. So reading Ezekiel 28, unless somebody else wants to have a read of this. Anyone else?
Bonnie, I'll read it. I just was
Yeah.
interested also in the fact that we talk about there being 9 stones. It says that every precious stone was there, and I count 10 things there, right? 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Interesting.
You do get 10 there. Okay, because that's in the next slide. Okay, have a read of that then for me, please.
You were in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was your covering, the ruby, topaz, and diamond, beryl, shoham, and jasper, sapphire, turquoise, and emerald and gold. The workmanship of your settings and mountings was prepared for you on the day you were created. You were the anointed cherub that covered, and I placed you. You were on the Kodesh mountain of Elohim. You walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the greatness of your trade, you became filled with violence within, and you sinned. So I thrust you from the mountain of Elohim, and I destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. You were perfect in your ways from the day you were created until unrighteousness was found in you. By the greatness of your trade, you became filled with violence within, and you sinned. So I thrust you from the mountain of Elohim, and I destroyed you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your loveliness. You corrupted your wisdom for the sake of your splendor. I threw you to the earth. I laid you before sovereigns to look at you. You profaned your Kodesh places by your many crookednesses, by the unrighteousness of your trading. Therefore I brought forth fire from your midst. It has devoured you, and I turned you to ashes upon the earth before the eyes of all who see you. All who knew you among the peoples were astonished at you. Waste you shall be and cease to be forever.
That's a pretty hard word, isn't it?
Right.
Whew. Yeah, so there's actually 9 stones there and gold. And gold is the extra. Like we know that gold is the the bedding, the structure that holds all the stones. So looking at the old table that I did, and I must please forgive me for not being at a stage when I did this of looking at the Sophete letters. So there are no Sophete letters in this, unfortunately, but that's okay. We worked out that Hasatan's breastplate from Ezekiel 28 is missing the third row. Missing the third row compared to Aharon. And we worked out that it's the stone of strength and Lashem, Yahalom, hang on. Where's my other piece of paper? And we'll go into this more at the end. Achlamar, which is the amethyst, the stone of strength, Shibbo, which is the agate, and Lashem, which is the amber or jacinth. So that's what's missing. So it was interesting that we thought that Hasatan did not get the stone of strength. And it reminded me of the time of the infinity stones from the marble universe. But that's that was a whole nother study. So just looking at these handful of verses here, I've counted 9 stones plus there was gold. There's your gold there. So 9 stones, only 9. Here's the access term that I did for the code table found here in the Hebrew. So Aleph Bet Nun Yod Aleph Shin. So Abene Esh. And just the idea of, something that was something fallen, iniquity, just perfect until iniquity was found in you. It's just, yeah. And again, here we have the access term, the fiery stones at the end of this verse. The idea that Hasatan was thrown to the ground. Thrown to Eretz. Look at that, earth. And yeah, and trading has made everything. There's Eretz again, the earth. Trading has corrupted everything. And this being became a horror. Anyway, all of that is, and shall be no more even forever. So that's interesting. And we love the word olam because olam in Hebrew means in perpetuity. It's like it's forever and ever and ever. So here's what I found initially in the table. I did found in the garden here in black circles as well when I looked at it again. And there was in the garden, and that's in Ezekiel 28:13 at the beginning of the reading today. And that's our setting for our story today of what happened to this being. And in the scripture there, where I found that in that line there, there's Ezekiel 27:36, and it's like, hiss at thee. you will be something to be hissed at. And it just reminds me of back in the garden and the serpent. Okay, so getting at the annotation here. Can you see that okay? You haven't got boxes or anything. This is why it's great to turn cameras off, because then you can see everything. So we've got the access term in the middle here, Abni Esh in the red. When I first looked at this, and that phrase, generally when you do code switching, a phrase will stand out to you, and the fiery stones just jumped out at me when I was studying the breastplate and the precious stones. And to actually find it in Ezekiel 38, Ezekiel 38, where it talks about the covering cherub was thrown to the earth, and I'm just like, wow. That was just a lightning bolt moment for me. I'm like, I have to look deeper into this. And I was already really, really intensely into a study on Aharon's breastplate from the tabernacle. The other thing that stood out to me too was the 3 stones here in the top right that were missing. We worked out in the look over on this the other day that all the stones are there, they're in there, but the three that were missing seemed to be in a circuit, and we talked a little bit about the ephod possibly being the first computer, and I'll go into that in a minute when we look at the makeup of the stones and everything. The extra things that I found too underlined in the yellow, we've got the great dragon, which was interesting to find in relation to now. Like I said, this was from 2 years ago, and now we have the year of the dragon, and we have things like eclipses and comets and things. So Hatamim, what was it? Hatanim Hagadol, the great dragon, is in there, and that's in the plain text in Ezekiel 29:3.
Yeah, Bonnie, and we also talked about when we were talking about this table a few days ago, we
Yeah.
talked about how Tanim is dragon, but Tamim is perfect.
Yeah. So somewhere there in the later on in the text there'll be the word tamim as well. Yeah. The other one I found here was and we've got the covenant marker, the Aleph Tau, and that one was you were the covering cherub. So you can see there, Kuf, get this arrow to point the right way, just underneath the blue circle, with where the yellow line is, we've got Kuf Resh Wa Bet, and that's what we know as the word cherub. It's cherub. Cherub.
Oh, you mean calf, fresh.
Sorry, calf. What did I say? Never mind. Calf Resh Wa Bet, just above the blue circle there where the yellow line is. Yeah, so that's the word we have for what we know in English as cherub, and I've got it there too, covering cherub. But it's interesting here how we've got the covenant marker. You know, it was a perfect being, and it had the covenant marker, and then there was the fall, and we know that when there's the covenant marker, there's got to be a sacrifice, and there's got to be there's something very special about having the covenant marker before a term. And that was the William Sanford thing, wasn't it, Darla?
Well, it's also the Aleph and it's like the beginning and the end, all of the Aleph together.
Yeah.
There's that, and it also means strength of the covenant.
There you go. I've got it pointing the right way. So looking at the Aleph tail there before the I could see another one there. So I don't know what that one is there. It'd be interesting to look up. So yeah, the covenant marker is something very special to find when you're looking at the original language. Just a side note there. Mishpat. Where did I find Mishpat? Well, if you want to, we will go and we can go and have a look at the live table. I've got it on another screen here. We can have a look. As you can see, we've got all the different stones in here. And the one thing that I have to mention about in studying any of this, the English is rubbish. You cannot make sense of it in what we have in English. It's just ridiculous. So I just had to go back, look at all the different Hebrew words, what they are, and these I haven't put the Hebrew in this old table here. I've just got the transliteration. So you got Bet, Resh, Kuf, Tau for Baraketh for Carbuncle, which is under the tribe of Levi. That's how I annotated that. Are there any questions from the live chat at all on the table itself?
I'm not seeing any. It says we've got 9 messages, but on my my cell phone here, it's only showing my message, so I'm not
Yeah,
Maybe Leah can let us know. I think she's over there.
yeah,
What's interesting about that carbuncle word, Bonnie, I just noticed is that if you just look at the CRB of carbuncle in your purple, just the purple label of it.
yeah.
So you got the CRB for carbuncle, but then you've got the Bet Resh Kuf going the other way. So it's kind of Barek carb. It's kind of a backwards carbuncle.
Oh,
Yeah.
carb. Yeah, carb. Yeah, because the coof can also be a K sound. Yeah.
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 Yeah. So
Yeah. So
that's so
backwards.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No worries. Okay. Well, I'm going to move on simply because we've got a lot to talk about. This is the listing of what I put in there from the software. A couple of things that I've added down the bottom here. Like I said, at the garden. We've got in the hissing stood out again. Then I found again the setting, the Garden of Elohim, and the Holy Mountain. It was interesting to grab those things. Just that's our ramsel in the plain text. When you see a skip of one, it means it's in the plain text. The other things are going in all sorts of different directions. And the Hebrew is beautiful because you can look at it forward, backward, like we just did with Baraketh and Carbuncle. You can look at it back and forth and any which way, and the letters just continue to shine forth the story of a loving Father and an amazing creation. And we talked recently about the word awesome, didn't we? And that we shouldn't say the word awesome unless we're referring to the Creator, because it's just such an amazing story of beauty, and it's indescribable. It really is. And the more
I think they use that word for the creator only, the word awesome, as it's translated in Hebrew.
Yeah. So I've got just a few stats here, and yeah, look, we don't like seeing these silly looking words, but it's the R factor that means more. But because I put plain text ones in there, it sort of bumped it up a little bit, but never mind. This just goes through. We've got a skip of 147, so that's how wide the table is. If we've got a vertical term, that just shows the width of the table. 28 terms, all in Ezekiel 26 to 33. And that's about it for there.
And that's an exponential. The chances there is exponential. That E means exponential.
Yeah. Sometimes you see the E and you go, oh, look, that's very low. But no, we need to look at that. The R factor means more in these cases. All right, so now looking at some older things and going into a discussion on the breastplate and just have a look. Just have a look. It's just too hard to explain unless I have to show you what I found. So in the middle here is we have the grid for Hasatan's breastplate that we just saw in Ezekiel 28. And over on the left, we have Aharon's breastplate, and it's Hoshen in the Hebrew, Het Shin Noon, and I did put a noon so feed there. So the high priest breastplate, which is in Exodus 28, right? And I had this fantastic study of many, many, many days quite a while ago where I looked very, very deeply into this subject. And look, we see at the end of, and I know Darla likes to talk about the movie Raiders of the Lost Ark. At the very end of that movie, we do see we have a little bit of a look-see at the magnificence of the whole sort of idea of what was going on in the temple. And I'll show you in a minute the Temple Institute and the official sort of pictures and things and diagrams from the Jewish perspective. But this was, Moses and Aharon in the setting that was made by the word of Yahweh directly to Moshe, or Moses, we generally say in our English understanding. So getting a look at the wider picture of the breastplate, the precious stones, and I even realized that we have our birthstones, our 12 months and our birthstones, and that's possibly even taken from this idea as well.
Yes.
Yeah, we did work out, didn't we, that the Shoham stone was also the onyx on the shoulders, and I've got a picture of the shoulder plate in a minute as well. We had a chat, didn't we, in our class about how in amongst the tribal names here, we've got at the bottom of each coloured box, we've got the tribal names of all the 12 tribes, and there was no Het and there was no Tet, which equals sin, and there was no Kuf and there was no Zadi, and that equals destruction. So in amongst the 12 tribes, there's no sin and no destruction, and that was just amazing. And what book was that from again, Darla?
Yeah, it's from the Wisdom in the Hebrew Alphabet
Okay.
by Rabbi Michael L. Monk.
Okay. Yeah. So looking at the the history of the tribes, and it keeps talking about the stones are in the order of their birth. I might need to blow that up. Yeah, I can. Cool. Blow it up so you can see it a little bit better. So if you go into Genesis or Bereshit, Genesis chapter 29 through to chapter 35, you will see the birth of all the patriarchs. Mentioning patriarchs too, because there's no Het and Tet, there's 4 letters missing there. What they actually did is they added the names of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob to Reuben's stone. Because it's surmised that it's quite possible that this was something that lit up. I'll show you. I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you. I also found in Revelation chapter 21, there's also the new foundations, and even the order of things changes. So you can see the different colors. The different colors change positions in all these things, and it was just fascinating to go through. This was another grid that I made up that just showed some of the different things in the different areas. Like we've got some banner details in Genesis 49. The tribes according to Aharon in Exodus 28, the birth order in Genesis 29 to 35. Then we had Aaron's garments and more on the stones. The blessing of Jacob to his sons, and that was a different order again. Then, yes, Ezekiel 28, which is where our table is today, missing the 3rd row. And you can see here the 3rd row, what they were, who they were for. Looking at the order of the tribes here from the Temple Institute, and we'll go to that website in a moment. They've got these two mixed around. It was just such a massive study. Dan is missing when it comes down to Revelation and the tribes being sealed. And then we've got the New Jerusalem foundation. So that just did my head in, the Revelation 21, looking in the Hebrew or in the Hallelujah scriptures. The only way I could make sense of it was to look at the Hebrew letters, not the English. The English just made it even worse. So any questions on any of that? It's quite in-depth, I know.
Yeah, did I see Dinah on your table?
Yeah, yep. I put Dinah. Yeah, look, why should Dinah miss out?
Yeah.
Dinah
And actually it's Dina, which is so
Dina.
interesting. My sister's name is Dina, and it never dawned on me till I started learning Hebrew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've got a box around the top 6 here because we've got 2 onyx or shoham stones on the shoulders, and there were 6 on each shoulder. And it's unclear as to whether it was the first 6 on one shoulder and then the second 6 on the other shoulder. The Temple Institute does go Reuben on the right, Simeon on the left. It goes right, left, right, left, right, left, all the way down. So I do have a picture of that, I think. Yeah, and so this is the link for the Temple Institute. So if you go to that link and put a / and then priestly garments /2, and you will get these pictures. So from the Temple Institute, and I have to thank them for all their beautiful work and their studies there, because I mean, obviously they're the experts. They're the experts in this, and will have the best picture of what the right story is, although I do think it's been tweaked a little bit so we don't profane it. Sorry.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think it's so amazing for us to be able to glean from that resource today, that the Temple Institute is there and they are doing this amazing work. I've got to believe that they're being divinely inspired as to what they're doing. So it's just amazing to kind of see the work that they're putting out.
Yeah. So I just grabbed a screenshot of this. This was just fascinating to me. The things, so you have linen. We did have one source, didn't we, that said it was linen and wool, but we disproved that in Scripture. It's linen threads with a very, very, very finely hammered, stretched strip of gold in it. And to me, that just screamed of circuit board. And I really do think this was the very first computer. I really do. Yeah. And here's the shoulder stones. Trying to get a bit bigger for us again.
Well, I would probably rather call it a communication device than a computer.
Yeah, true. Thanks, Tobias. Yeah. So here's what the Temple Institute has for the shoulder stones. So it says sardonyx there in the bottom of the screen, but it's also called onyx. It's also called shoham in Hebrew, which is the same. Interestingly, it was the same stone of Joseph. So we've got, I don't know how good's your Hebrew. We've got Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulon, Naphtali, Dan, Gad, Asher, Joseph, and Benjamin. And it's interesting, in that configuration, we've got both of Rachel's children on the bottom. I thought that was very interesting, because we know the story of Rachel and Leah, and that perhaps Joseph should have been the firstborn if Isaac hadn't been ripped off by his father-in-law. But Leah gave him 6 sons, which are all at the top here, and then we've got Bilhah and Zilpah, the maidservants in the middle. So I thought it was very interesting. And the missing stones are the stones from Bilhah is Dan, and Naphtali, and Gad is Zilpah. So they're 3 of the concubines' children. I thought that was very interesting. Yeah.
So one concubine's children, 2 children are on one of these stones, and the other concubine's children is on the other stone. Is that right?
Well, remember I said to you the other day, I think these 2 are back to front. If it's in the order of their birth, it should be Dan, Naphtali, and then Gad. So we've got Dan and Gad here. So they've done Naphtali, Dan, and Gad. It should be Dan, Naphtali, and Gad, but who knows?
So those 2 may be backwards, and you were saying that may be sort of a security measure.
Sure, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
So we don't profane. Look, even just sharing this photo, I could be profaning something sacred according to them. I just don't know. Yeah. So something interesting was said the other day. Are we the stones? We know that Hasatan is roaming around in the midst of the fiery, well, he was in the midst of the fiery stones, and we know that we are precious jewels to the Father. Are we those stones? Are the souls of man precious stones? It's an interesting thought, and I thought it was one worthy of sharing.
Wow, beautiful.
So this is just the end of this presentation, and I'll go over to show you more on the Temple Institute in a moment. So I just wanted to say thank you for watching. We'll go over to the live table in a moment too and have a look at some of the maybe underlying scriptures or surface texts where things have been found. But always we give thanks to the Father Yahuwah and the Son Yahushua for allowing us to even consider the beautiful Hebrew language. So that's the end of that part. I don't know. Can you see my table here now?
Yes, we see it.
Yes. Okay, cool. And I've also got the Temple Institute here as well. So from this page, you can even like the headdress, Kadosh LaYahweh, learn that, set apart to the Creator. You know, it's just beautiful. But here's, you know, and I said, thank you so much to the Temple Institute for putting this together, because this is just amazing. I did get, like, in doing the study, I did get quite taken back by what I found in what's called in marketing, you know, in relation to things like jewelry and things. You can buy rings with all these stones on them, and some things were like four stones across and three stones down. And I'm like, no, that's not right. A lot of things in our Christian understanding have a left to right context, like you've got Reuben, Simeon, Levi going this way, but they write from, they make their characters from right to left, not left to right. So Reuben has to start on the right. It has to. There's logic dictates. But I'm reminded recently that, you know, sometimes you've got to throw logic out the window, and you've just got to go with what's revealed, and definitely with what's written in Scripture, particularly in the Torah, which is the first five books of the Bible where Moses was writing. That's a very, very precious place to be and find things. So more on the thing. There's our shoulder stones again. Is it worth mentioning about Joseph here, Darla?
Oh yeah. So was it twice we found his name as Yehusef?
No, just once.
Just once, one
And-
time. So this is a
Yeah.
full spelling, whereas Joseph is a defective spelling.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got, I think it's the hay that's missing. Same as Abraham and Sarah, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
So amazing. Do you
So,
remember what the verse was that we found
oh,
that?
no, somebody can probably find it quicker than I can right now. But
Exactly, of course.
so Joseph is a picture of Messiah, and he also got the hay, which is the breath, the life, the same as Abraham did, the same as Sarah did. Wow. Yeah. So yeah, just looking at all of this, look, here we go. Here's the stones, and you can sort of see up here where they've, like I said, where they put the extra characters in there. Can I? Yes, here we go. So you can see here, you've got Abraham, you've got Jacob, and Isaac is there, I think, on the end. So that's how they got their, you know, the whole alphabet in there in the temple. And if this is a communication device, as Tobias said, with the gold wire, you know, melded through, and the legend is that the breastplate would light up and answer questions.
Letter by letter, right?
Letter by letter, yeah. The high priest, the Kohen Hagadol would ask questions, and there would be answers beamed out from this. And you're looking at this and you're thinking, okay, well, wouldn't the letters then be backwards on the wall if it was a reflection out? Anyway, there's something very special that went on with it, and we don't know. It's just legend. It's legend. Here we go. Names of divide translation. They even talk about it here. It's a tough study to do. It really is. 30 different opinions, and this is just from the official Jewish source. It'll do your head in. It really will. So just trust the Hebrew is what I've come down to in the end. The most representative names, yeah, of the 12 stones. But fascinating that the amethyst was missing. Who was it? These three: Dan, Naphtali, Gad. The amethyst, the agate, and the amber, or jacinth, ligure. Yeah.
And it's the amber is unto name, right? Isn't that what the word meant?
Well, it was Lashem. Yeah, Lashem. Lamed Shin Mem. And which is H3958 in the Strongs, if anyone wants to look it up. I've added the Strongs numbers in on that previous table. Yeah, so the Lashem is missing, which is Jacinth Amber or Ligure. And I don't even have it here, but it should be for Dan. But Dan, they've got here as turquoise. Look, Dan, Naphtali, and Gad, they've messed the order around, I'm certain of it, on purpose, so we don't profane it. And look, I feel very honoured to even be able to be looking into this. It's quite something quite in-depth and quite special, but something very revelatory to do. Oh, see, they've done their exhaustive research, they're telling us.
Exhausted, yeah.
Yeah, that's how it feels. It really does. Yeah, it really does feel like an exhaustive thing. And like I said, I'd spent like weeks on this 2 years ago, and it was just like, yeah.
So there's a signet ring as well.
A signet ring, yeah, interesting. Now that's talking about it is Exodus 28:21. So I want to go and have a look for that. Do we want to have a look at the scripture? And because it's nice to prove things out or disprove things.
Can we see the live table? We actually saw the live table list earlier.
Yeah. Here we go.
And welcome to Gail and Teza. Teza's here as well.
Okay. So here's the live table. So come and have a look. Come and have a look inside the Hoshen with me. Whew.
Have you looked at any of these, Bonnie? And by the way, I also want to say that your access term was found in the scripture that it was that it's in the plain text.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and there was a crossover. And generally when you're doing code searching, it's like, okay, what's the word? Pick any word, translate it to Hebrew, even just do a phonetic translation, put it into the codes and just see where it lands. And this just landed in that beautiful space of Ezekiel 28 where it talks about the fiery stones. It just, yeah. If I go back in here and take this off default. It'll actually show me, hopefully without ruining the whole thing. I can always back up. I've saved it. Save your work. If you're in these programs, just continually save your work.
So we also know that Benny is children, right?
Yeah.
Benny is children.
Here we go. So there it is there.
So Eben is stone, but Bene is children.
And Ish, it's fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's kind of interesting right there. Just children of fire as well.
yeah. And we know that we had the 148, like it's all through all through the scriptures there. Just trying to get it to a point where I can see the 147 it was, sorry, the skip. So that was the one I chose in the end in here. And if we go back up to the top and we know that we've got Ezekiel 28:16 and we've got, sorry, the number here on the left is the skip. 28:16 and 28:16. Yeah, so there's two other codes there to look at in that. But I chose the one at skip 147 because it was just, yeah.
Yeah, look at that.
You get a feeling for yeah, there you go. So there it is there. Is that 147? No, that's, oh yeah, skip a 147. Can you see the S over in the bottom left of the yellow box?
Yeah.
So that's it there in relation to the plain text. So they're very close together.
But we were looking at a vertical term, weren't we?
Yep. And I've got to go back. You're better off to pin these things down to a specific skip. Otherwise, you'll end up crashing your computer. Things are a lot easier to work with if you can just pin it down to your main space. And if we can see, yeah, I'd have to go searching in the.
So this is the same one with all the terms, Bonnie?
Yeah. This is the main table there now. So remember we talked about, oh, there you go. So I'll put in there in the plain text as a horror you've become there. So looking for, and when we're doing code searching, we're looking at clusters. Like we want things to be in and around and connected to and sharing letters with the access term. That's the perfect way. Jan does it beautifully all the time. I didn't get anything that stood out like that in this particular table, but you never know. If anyone looking, and with the Hebrew, look at it. It's like a word search puzzle. That's the best way to explain it. If Hebrew was my first language, I know there'd be other things standing out in a vertical configuration here, or an angle of some sort. We've got this one here that's at, it's 147, also 147 twice, 280, 294. So that'll be a skip of 294 there because it's skipping a line. You work it out. It's all, there's a lot of, and I hated mathematics at school, but this is fascinating.
Bonnie, what is that? Do you know what that scripture is at the bottom of your access term? See, it says Kufshin, Ta, Yod, right in there.
In there. Okay, let's have a look. And we can, in the code searcher program, we can just double click on any letter and it'll give us where it is. So Kufshin.
Ta, Yod, Kaf is your.
It is here.
In your, something about in your.
Unto thy scales.
Your scales. Well, that's at the very end.
Your rivers
Yeah,
shall
I'm
stick
taking
unto your scales.
Yep, your scales.
And I will look and in Code Finder here. I've been trying to get in touch with the people running this program. They've got Middle English, and it's like, oh, I want the ISR or even just the King James in there would be better than the Middle English. So this reads, and I will put hooks in your jaws, and I will cause the fish of your rivers to stick to your scales, and I will bring you up out of the midst of the rivers, and all the fish of the rivers shall stick to your scales. That sounds like a beast coming up out of the sea, doesn't it?
It kind of reminds me a little bit. I've heard about a tale where in the Wild West or something, if a man murdered another man, they would attach the to the murderer, and then of course, the
Wow.
gangrene or whatever, the rigor mortis, whatever, it would end up killing the killer. But this kind of gives me that visual here.
Yeah. So do we want to go to the clients and have a look up
I've got the climbs out. I can look, but yeah, it looks like Kufshin Ta.
Yeah. And we know that yod as a suffix, I'll get the right word out, means mine.
That's probably going to be a plural because you've got a calf
You've got a
suffix. It means
calf.
full.
Yeah. Got the calf suffix as well.
Here's a Kuf Shin Yod Shinwata, which means old age and seniority. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
That would be related. Here we go. Kufshin. Kufshin is to hoe.
As in like farming.
Yes, it's formed from noon kufshin, to strike, knock, literally to strike with the hoe. And again, it's a piece of straw, a splint for kufshin kufshin. Kufshin kufshin yod is scaly and squamate.
Ooh. Okay.
They talk about our skin being like squamous cells, so that's something to do with that word squamate.
Yeah. Yeah, you scratch the surface in this Hebrew thing, and it's like you end up on a treasure hunt that usually is it can bring you to your knees, it can have you crying out, it can have you like totally gasping in like, wow, I never realized that. Yeah. I'm just looking up.
Kufshin, Bonnie, kufshin ta is scale of fish or a coat of mail.
Yeah. So just for context here, I've got the interlinear, so we can have a look at it. So it's off scale. Oh, it's kufshin, it's here. To your scales.
Yeah.
You imagine a dragon, what we imagine is a dragon with like those sucker fish stuck to the sides of it.
Yeah, I think it might be a bit of a play on words too. When you look on the top line where it says and cause to stick, you have a word there that ends in bet, kuf, ta, yod. So it could be sort of a play on words in Hebrew.
Words. Yeah. Yeah, and because Hebrew's not their first language, we don't see the plays on words in the Hebrew, but I love it when you point that out, Darla. Yeah, you got a bet kuf here as
Yeah, and
well.
then there's yod at the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have scales. Stuff can stick to it.
And the fish, was Dagon or Dag. Dag is fish in Hebrew.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the table. What else do we notice in this area? The beautiful thing too about Code Finder is you can turn on word highlight. So in the plain text, you've got a grey word and then a black word, a grey word and then a black word. So you can see where the word structure is, even if we can't read it.
Bonnie, how about that sheen? So if we go up from that kuf sheen right there, see how that sheen's sort of a mustardy color? There's a sheen up 2 rows and over about 8 characters to the left. There's another sheen there. What does that line say?
That's the word Tarshish.
Tarshish. Okay.
Okay, so Ezekiel 28:26, and they shall dwell safely therein and shall build houses and plant vineyards. Yes, they shall dwell safely when I have executed judgment upon all those that have them in disdain around about them, and they shall know that I am Yahuwah Elohim, or Elohe. How would you say that one? Elohim.
For them, that's them. Elohim, I think that would be it.
But we'll be just there in Bible Hub. Hang on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I am their Elohim is what it
28,
boils to.
26. I just love seeing the Father's name written in the Hebrew because it's just not what we get in the English. It's disappointing at best in the English. Elohim. There you go. Their mighty one. Their Elohim. Elohim.
Yeah. So again, an extra hey.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because normally Elohim would just be no hay, wouldn't it? Or the hay there.
Yeah.
You've got a
Yeah,
hay
so
there.
that's
Yeah.
that's bringing the point of there. It's a suffix kind of there. The hey mem is a
So it's a hay, it's a hay
them or there.
suffix, yeah. Because I know normally we get Eloheka, which is your God, your Elohim.
Kind of cool to think about. He is there with them because that suffix means there. He's there with them.
Okay. What else have we got? So that was in the word sharing the sheen, which is refining, the refining fire in the word for Tarshish, which is beryl, which relates to Asher.
It also relates to Paul, right? Paul of Tarshish.
Yeah, yeah. And there's ships of Tarshish too, I think, somewhere in Scripture.
Wow.
Okay. I wanted just to go here. No fic there, which was going in which direction? This is the beauty of printing things out, I'll tell you.
Just on that Tarshish again, in Klein's it says, name of an unidentified precious stone occurring in the scriptures. According to the Septuagint, Josephus, and the Vulgate, it is identical with the chrysolite. Symmachus identifies it with the hyacinth, probably named after a place whose identity is still a question under dispute. Most scholars identify it with Tarfessus or Tarcessus in Spain.
You're talking about Tarshish still?
Yep, that was Tarshish in the Klein's.
Yeah. So I've got no fec here, no fec, and it was heading parallel. And just because we don't like working with 3-letter words in the codes because it crashes your computer, there's just too many to find. So I put a hey on there, which just is a prefix meaning the. So the no fec, which is the turquoise. And that's for Judah.
Wow.
That came in on that. We can look up and see what this word is. Abedeka, but where is it? No, Abedi, no. And sometimes words it's called the abacus effect if it shares letters with one word and another word to make up something else. And that happens quite a bit. It's this word here. So roughly halfway through. Oh, it could be the word for profane. Oh, do we want to have a look? 28:16. So it's sharing the stone for Judah. Abedekah. Here we go. I destroyed you. Wow.
What did you say the Abedekah was from?
It's here.
Oh, it's part of Keruba's
It's here.
Nofek.
It's here. It's here. It's just before I destroyed you, covering cherub. I have destroyed thee, covering cherub. So that's what's in the plain text just here. So it's interesting, though, that the word for I have destroyed shares, hang on, if I do this, shares with Nofek going down the page there, which is the stone of Judah.
Wow.
So yeah, like I said, you've just got to see what the surface scripture says, what's found, and I didn't even realize that was connected there. And in you, the audience, please tell me what you see. Tell me what you see here. I'd love to have some sessions with somebody who's fluent in Hebrew to help with finding more, because it really is a treasure hunt. And we can see why the rabbis have had such a great time with this over the years and have really guarded this so closely. But it really is a privilege to be able to do this. I know Terry used to say, what better thing could we be caught doing when time ends? What it's such a privilege to do.
Yeah, it's amazing just to look at the letters and start to spot things that we're aware of.
Look, we've got another Aleph towel down the bottom here. Oh, 2 Aleph towels. Oh, wow. Hang on. I've got to go back to here. And another one that, look, they're just jumping off the page at me right now. And this is another thing that happens. Things jump out at you off the page. So we've got 2 lots of Aleph towel here, which is the covenant marker at the beginning and the end. So what's this? Ezekiel 30:22. Therefore, thus saith who? Yahweh Hanini. Okay. L. There you go. L. L is, the Superman movies, Jor-El, Kal-El. L means God.
That's behold. That the Hineni word is behold.
Yeah. L means God. There you go. And it's short for Elohim. So thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I am against Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and will break his arms, the strong, and that which was broken, and I will cause the sword to fall out of his hand. And that was interesting too. There was a parallel here with Pharaoh and the fallen one. And you get like a feeling for things, and you shouldn't probably go with, I'll go with logic any day. But when it comes to matters of faith, I'll say, you get a feeling for things. And to see Pharaoh in here, and I probably could pick up the word Pharaoh if it'll be down here further. It'll be over this way. Pick up the word Pharaoh just to show you. There it is. No, I thought that was it there. So we're in.
You got to pay very close, right at the edge of your screen, right about where your mouse was.
Yeah, so just to show you the word Pharaoh. Oh, there's another Aleph towel there. It might be in the next line. But, just there's a wonder in it, is what I'm saying. Oh, there's Mitzrayim.
Yeah.
Pharaoh.
Yep.
There's Pharaoh.
Right there.
There's Pharaoh.
Yep.
Yeah. Right in the bottom corner if you can't. Sorry, I'm right over. It's there. Pharaoh. That's how you spell Pharaoh. That's how you spell Pharaoh in Hebrew. There you go. Hey, Resh, Ayin, Hey. The king, Melech. the king of Mitzrayim, Egypt. Pharaoh, the king of Mitzrayim. So yeah, just how the surface text marries up to what you found, and it can be fascinating. It really can. And
Bonnie, I can see
I'm
two letters.
rambling. I'm sorry. Does anyone else got any questions?
Yeah, I have two. I'd like you to look up two of them. There,
Yep.
I see an olive and an iron sticking out. The olive is drop your mouse about 8 letters down, just to the left is a mustard colored olive. There you go, that one.
Mhm.
And then there's sort of diagonal up, you'll find an iron the same color. Way up.
Wow. Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Those two letters kind of stand out. I was wondering what was under those two.
Okay.
Or I should say above those because the encode is under.
Yeah. The merchants among the peoples hiss at thee. Oh, there's the scripture for the hiss at thee, which brought me back to the garden and the serpent in the garden. So yeah, so that'll be that's my word that was in the garden, in Eden, bet iron dull at noon. In Eden.
Yeah.
Hiss at thee, yeah. So that was interesting that I had, and that goes across the top here. And that was interesting that I had the phrase hiss at thee. And it's talking here, the merchants among the peoples hiss at thee, you are become a terror and never shall be anymore. And that speaks right back to the garden for me.
Hallelujah for that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. And that's that term goes, yeah, over there. And I had it in the
Ah.
table with black
Oh,
circles around it.
oh, so that's really interesting because the iron is the first letter in Eden then.
Yeah.
The one where it's also,
Yep.
yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This is in Eden. Wow. That's
Oh,
awesome.
wrong one. All right. We'll turn up on another screen. 2813. So, and this is the beauty about working in a tiny area, is that you can quickly get it. It's here in Eden. You know, it was the beginning of everything. And again, in this scenario, in this story of the covering cherub who fell to the earth, it's in Eden in the garden. So I just had to, I had to go look at it. And I've got the garden of Elohim there too,
Yeah.
in the table as well. Where
And
was
then
that?
the olive was the other one.
Yeah, hang on, let's have a look. Because, yeah, as you said, the olive stood out, didn't you? Hang on, I need to work it out. A gem. So it's the red gem, which is Reuben, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
So Reuben, Ezekiel 30:11, and he and his people with him, the terrible of the nations, shall be brought in to destroy the land, and they shall draw their swords against Egypt and fill the land with the slain. Oh,
Wow.
sounds like war, doesn't it?
Yeah. Sounds like judgment.
Mm. I'm going to log into YouTube just so I can see who's
Yeah.
any
I've been keeping it.
questions. Yeah. I'll just mute my mic for a sec. I can work out how. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Terry says, may we be all be filled with the light only our Messiah Yahushua can give us. I mean, and Robert Peaver says, with the stones being of many colors, I wonder if there are connections to Joseph's coat of many colors. Interesting. And Karina says, shalom. You still there, Bonnie? Shalom, Karina. Shalom, Douglas and Robert and Terry.
Yep, I'm still here. I'm just trying to get the mic muted. Yeah, I'll put a video on because it's always better to see who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Terry is peculiar. Hi, Douglas. I'm watering plants as I'm listening. Have a blessed day. Good on you. In the garden, literally. We're talking about the garden. Yeah. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So, yeah.
Interesting about Ezekiel 28 is that it's Exodus 28 that talks about these stones. And the other thing was that it seemed to mention at least twice. I was like, wait, did Bonnie build these? Like the verses just repeat themselves. Did you notice that, Bonnie, when I was reading it?
Oh, which bit? Sorry.
In Ezekiel 28, when I was reading it, it's almost like, wait, did Bonnie just accidentally add the verses again? Like they repeated.
Hang on. I go back to
It's like you got your first witness and your second witness right there together.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Are you talking about this screen?
Yeah. The scriptures that you had me read, which start with that verse. But the judgment against him was pronounced a couple of times in a row, almost word for word the same. Yeah, that one.
Terry's asking, have any of you looked into the orbital path of the Pons-Brooks comet yet? P12. Jan has been working on Pons-Brooks for 2 years.
Yeah.
Was there what was the name of the video she did on that?
I think it might be called Pons-Brooks.
Yeah, it'll be in our playlist.
These tables get updated as the code searchers want to go back and look at it again. Like Bonnie's been working on this for how long, Bonnie?
At least 2 years, 2.5 years. Yeah.
2 years. Yeah. So this is a fresh look at it.
Yeah.
What was added this time, Bonnie, for you?
Well, I just pulled out. It was just fascinating to me to pull out the story of the missing stones. You know, there's and we know Hasatan is a person of or an entity that cannot create anything, that can only copy. But in trying to copy something, it's incomplete. It's not quite right.
Well, but it's interesting because in that verse 13, it said every precious stone was your covering. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he just wasn't given he wasn't supposed to have these three. Like you got every one that you were getting, buddy.
Oh, look, I'll tell you, I'll have to go and find it now. And I did a whole nother Bible code on this because it was just it just stood out so much. If I can find it. Oh, where is it?
And also we can see in the bottom right stone there how much sapphire looks like our word sapphire. So that's a word that has been brought forth to us. Of course, Odom there you have at the top, that's the same spelling as Adam. And so we have the knowledge of the word Adam. We have the word knowledge of those that have been brought up in the scriptures. We've heard Paul of Tarshish, so we've heard that one before. Some of us have heard Shoham stones. I was thinking how much Abini stones sounds like ebony.
It does, doesn't it? I
And
want,
even ivory, iberi.
I want to show you guys this. This was another sort of like rabbit hole I went down. The Marvel Universe. The Marvel Universe. This is what our children are getting in their media, and how much of it is a mockery of the sacred. How much of it just like it just beggars belief to me to think that, you know, every primary school kid would know all this. It really does. It really does. And it's just, this is the Marvel Universe. Yeah, it's just up.
Yeah, it looks like a cartoon book or something.
Yeah. It's
Comic heroes.
It's sold as you know, Stan Lee, I think, is going to have some answering to do, I think, on the other side of things. It's also this one. Where are we? And it's just, yeah, that was another thing that in the study a while back that I did, is just like, just what is sacred has been completely profaned by marketing and by Hollywood. And it's sad. It's just sad. I really don't even want to look at any of it, because it's just, I'd rather go to that Temple Institute one and have a look there at what it is.
Speaking of that, Bonnie, can we see again the what these stones look like on the breastplate
Yeah, yep.
in the Temple Institute?
Yeah, give me a moment to find
Yeah,
it.
it's all about stones and colors, huh?
Yeah. Three. Here we go. It's the beauty of working with extra. Oh, we were going to have a look at their signet ring.
Oh yeah.
Do we want to quickly do that before we look at the, just so I don't forget?
Sure. While you're finding that, Terry says that what she was asking about the orbital path of the Pons Brook, she says quite biblical when I viewed its path on a video. Terry, if you want to send us a link, I can the video. We'd love to take a look at that. I could copy it. And then Robert said, was this the same breastplate that Yahuwah used to communicate with shadows of letters?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Yes. I think that's what we're talking about. As the breastplate being a communication device. Yeah, there's Jewish legends somewhere in the extra writing somewhere about it. Exodus. Sorry, I'll get there in a sec.
Robert said, I asked this because he brought this to my attention when I asked about all these numbers that he's showing me, still trying to figure out how he's trying to communicate with me. Well, we do know that the Pharisee said, how does he know the letters? I've always been fascinated with that question. How does he know the letters?
True, yeah.
It's got to mean more than do you know your ABCs? It's got to mean more than that to me.
Signet. Here it is, 28, 21. 28, 21. Well, unless you actually go to school or somebody sits you down and tutors you, you're not going to know. You're going to have a verbal understanding of your world, aren't you, as a small person generally? But you're not going to know how to write something. You're not going to know the shape of things. You're not going to know the deeper meaning of them. And was it at 12 the Hebrew boys started their learning, or 8?
Well, the bar mitzvah age is 13, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it was about. Okay, so here I am again trying to 2821. Okay. So 2821 signets.
Like the engravings of a signet.
So I don't see there where that means there was
There's
also a signet ring.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's talking about how you engrave a signet ring. Here we go. So we've got a Talmudic analysis. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, and Bonnie, didn't we see when you were bringing us some information on this before, didn't we see that, not that, this is a story. I don't know that there's any truth to it, but I don't know that there's not either. But there was some sort of a worm that was said to have existed that did the engraving by looking onto the stone, and the engraving was done.
Yep.
Kind of a
It's here.
out there.
It's here. It's here. So
Yeah.
we'll call the shamir. So shin mem resh. What's that in Hebrew?
Yeah, so that's shamar. That's
we talked about shamar. Yeah. So this, and again, anytime you're going into the Talmud, it's legend, it's extra writings. It's not, this is according to this is not saith Yahweh. It is life according to the rabbis. So you have to be very careful. But they have traditions that come and go, and who are we to say that there's not some truth to it? Oh, there's an awesome, a really great teaching or podcast that Rob Skiba did with a fellow called Judd. Might just be, his surname might have been Judd, and it was on legends and how we get legends and how there's truth in it, and over centuries and generation upon generation upon generation, mythology. It was about mythology, and it was fascinating. I'll have to see if I can find the link for it. But this is, what happens, with the Talmudic writings. It's legends. Is it midrash?
And Bonnie, what is below there where it says it is taught that Moshe himself used the shamir for the stones of the original ephod and breastplate while yet in the desert for the tabernacle? Initially, the words are written on the stones in ink. Then the stones are simply exposed to the shamir, and the letters are cut into the stones automatically of their own accord, like a fig which ripens and splits open in summer. It splits open, but yet no part of it is missing. And a valley splits open during the rainy season, but it too lacks nothing. Thus the stones remained in their fullness.
Like I said, it's a fascinating study. It's fascinating to look into. The Temple Institute is just one place to look into, but if you're going to go searching, just expect to be very confused, because it just is. It's it's a massive study.
Yeah, and this is coming not from some random place, but from Temple Institute.
Yeah.
Dana and Bonnie.
Yeah.
May I ask, is with the Temple Institute, have they got it in the paleo or in the flame lettering?
Yes, would it have been in paleo? Great point.
That's a great point. Yeah, this is not paleo.
Yeah, it's not paleo. So if we had, as we like our Moshe on the mountain with these 2 tablets of stone with the paleo writing on it, and I've got that picture somewhere. Why would this be Babylonian flame letters?
That's such a great point, Teza.
Just blowing the whole study out of the water. Let's start again.
Bonnie, I would like to see you do it in the the code
Oh, okay. I can
in the flame letters. Sorry,
paleo. I
in the
can.
paleo.
I can.
I know you can. That's why I'm saying.
Yeah, I can switch out. It's just a change of. Oh, look, I keep going back to it every time, don't I? No, we're talking about these white letters up the top here, and when the Hebrews went into Babylon, they came out with what's called the Babylonian flame letters, which is what we have now. This is what we have now in Hebrew, but what we had before that, and it was shut up and closed up in Daniel 12. And there's a whole nother massive rabbit hole for you. Or have we run out of time today? I don't know. We've been going nearly 2 hours.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. I mean, time has flown. Time has absolutely flown.
It's just a fascinating topic, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
the privilege of being able to look into the sacred languages. Look, if you really want to do your head in, go and look at the Maru Foundation at Stan Tenon's work. It was Eric Bissell that put us onto that, and it's like, oh, my head hurts straight away, pretty much. But it's like, wow, yeah, it's fascinating.
Wow. That's beautiful.
I wonder if I can find that picture quickly. Moses, Ten Commandments, image, and I'm going to get something pretty quickly, I think, what I'm looking for. Here we go.
So while you're looking for that, I've asked Terry. Terry's going to share a video with us that on the Ponds Brooks, and I've asked her if she could email us it because the YT won't necessarily let links and stuff pass forward. So
Yeah.
Terry, if you can email us, we'll be at a light unto the Gentiles at gmail.com. We would love to see the video that you're speaking of.
Here we go. Here we go. This is what I want, and you can almost see it there, but Charlton Heston, isn't it?
And Monty, there's also I'm looking at the YouTube page right now, which is a few seconds beyond or before you at this point, but that article from Temple Institute was also talking about what was the order of the tribe. So what do you feel was the order? Do you agree with Temple Institute?
No. No,
Right?
I don't. Here it is. This is our famous picture we keep coming back to. Oh, here we go. Here we go. And that's the paleo.
Ah.
And I know, Darla, you talk about, praise be for the set dressers who thought to do this in paleo, because it's probably right. It's probably right.
Yes, and they've got Yahuwah's name on there, as opposed to the whole movie is done with Gimel Dalet, which is the tribe of God, which is the word we were given instead of the name of the title of Elohim that he has chosen for himself in his word. But there's Yahuwah Eloheka right there in Paleo.
Yahuwah Eloheka. Yeah. Can you see my mouse?
Yes.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we've got Yod Hey Wah, Hey, Aleph Lamed, Hey, 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 Hey,
Yod
Yod, is it yod? Okay.
in
Yeah,
the cup.
in a
Yeah.
cup. And you need to know these. It's this, and there are different sort of, and there's pictograph as well, which is down the third last row, and that's very similar to the Paleo Hebrew.
Yeah. You can see it's like it's morphed into or it graduated into the
Yeah.
Paleo Hebrew.
I know I do have a somewhere a morphology sort of chart of where the language, you can see how it changed. I do have that somewhere. I just don't know where right now. Yeah.
Well, I think it is also important to be like looking at what does this have to do with us? Well, those 12 tribes grew up 2,000 years later, 3,000 years later, they're still on the earth. Their descendants are still here. And there's a beautiful video, Identity Crisis, on this channel where Jim Staley will tell you all about what this has to do with you. It's a life-changing video. You need to see it if you haven't seen it yet.
Yes, definitely. We've also got some older things over on Rumble as well, under A Light Unto the Gentiles and under Hebrew code searching, which was banned because we said too many things I didn't like.
Of course, everybody can say it now except for us. We're not saying it now.
we're not saying the B word anymore, are we?
We've done that. We've done our part, and so if you want to know about that stuff, it's on Rumble.
Yeah. It's on Rumble. Wow, just trying to find Identity Crisis. But look, we've got, look, and here's the one I did on the 10 Commandments, the 10 words. And I'd go into the this picture and what it actually goes into and says, well, there's Identity Crisis. Yeah. It's a fantastic and thank you to Jim Staley for letting us mirror that on our channel, because it's just like yeah, we've been told by many it's changed our lives, and me being one. It's like, how do you know how do you know what you know? Do you really know what you know? What have you been taught, and is that really what they should have been teaching? Yeah, it all goes back to, I keep saying, Jeremiah 16:19-20. Surely one day the Gentiles will come back and they will say, I have inherited lies. And it's as simple as that. It really
And we
is.
just learned so much from the Hebrew. I mean, we've seen this image here of our modern view of Moses here with the Paleo Hebrew tablets. We've seen this image reverse, so it's backwards. And when you start learning Hebrew and Paleo Hebrew, and so much we've learned from Eric Bissell, who's taught us Paleo Hebrew, you realize, no, that image is backwards. I think Bonnie has found.
Oh yeah, that was in that
yeah.
That's,
and even these stones here, they're in reverse order, or they're mixed up in some way, or it's 4-3 instead of 3-4, and there's just so much to learn when we start getting into the Hebrew.
That was one day I was bored. That was just one day, and I'm just like, I want to look into this. I want to look into this, and I wanted to take this photo and just work out what was really written on there, and there was a screensaver. I wanted to just put a screen instead of Eric Bissell's array. Instead of this, I wanted to put something something else. Where was I? No, I've lost my spot now. Never mind. I wanted to put the the 10 Commandments in something more like that. And it just blew me away what I found. And yeah, go watch that one. It's fun. It's like, it's a massive warning. Just what are we really looking at? Oh dear. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Massive warning. Yeah. Don't just yeah. Don't trust anything. Search it out for yourself. Is it the scripture study to show yourself approved?
yeah. And as you said, what Terry used to say, what better could you be doing?
Mm.
What better way could you be found than be found in the word of Yahuwah?
Yeah, and this is, and you're talking about, okay, well, look, you want to search Bible codes, or like, you are in the scriptures for hours and hours and hours, and it's like, it's all encompassing when you do it. It really is. It just encloses you and takes you on a journey of its own.
It's so beautiful. And you've done so much work. It really shows, Bonnie. It really does.
Look, at even the idea of trying to sort of just redo something that I'd looked at a couple of years ago, it's not a simple thing. It really isn't, because you've changed, you've studied different things, you see different things, and it's just like, it's you might as well just start again. Like, I worked out I couldn't get into my old PowerPoint to change the Sophite letters to final Sophite letters. I'm like, it's okay, just put it out there. Because if you need it to be perfect, you'd never do this. We try our best, don't we, to get it right, because we'd rather have it right for the sake of the ministry side of things. But just having a go is more valuable than getting it right.
It's just beautiful work. How many hours do you think has been in this total that you've worked on this?
At least 50.
At least 50. I would imagine it's even far more than that.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
days and days and days and weeks and weeks. And I don't have the time anymore at the moment to do that. But I'm committed to helping people learn how do you work the software, just so you can get a start in it. I'm more than happy to help with that, because
Thank you, Bonnie.
it really is a journey, and it really will blow your socks off. It really will.
Amazing journey. It's an amazing journey learning Hebrew and codes.
Yeah. Just having a look at the live chat again, just to see if there's any more.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert says, the story about when Moses came down the mountain and the heavens shook and everyone was afraid. And that's all in that video on the 10 words. Go and have a look at that.
I think there's even a scripture that talks about they saw the words.
Yeah, in the sky. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
possibly.
So
and
amazing.
there's a legend that we saw, and you can't, like I said, we've got the Talmudic ideas, and we've got some extra biblical books. Morning, dear. We've got some extra biblical books that that give us another little bit of an insight. But there was something about a cube, a blue, and again, Marvel Universe, they've got this cube, a sapphire cube that actually had, I don't know, the midrash, the legend in the rabbis is that the letters were floating. Like one of them, I think, is it the iron in the paleo is a circle, and it was actually floating in there, like it was engraved all the way. If it was engraved all the way through a thin slab, the middle of it was just floating there, like
the float.
Whoa. Yeah. Anyway,
So amazing.
there's lots and lots.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably a great time to stop. We've been just about a little over an hour and a half. Bonnie, I so appreciate your beautiful work, and I know we all do, and getting up early and your sacrifice. And
It was 4 a.m. start for me today.
yeah, it's a very early start.
And I don't mind. Look, a lot of the times we're working with the American clock, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I want to sit for that. Oh, it's going to be 2 a.m. Oh, no, I can't do it. But look, I have lovely free afternoons because everyone in America is asleep. But then there's still Hawaii and there's still Brisbane. So I'm in Melbourne.
I'm still bugging you.
It's okay.
All right. Well, it's just been a great video, and thank you so much for sharing this table. And I pray you who will be with you all and Barak you. And we're going to say shalom now.
Thank you.
Say shalom, everybody.
Shalom.